First, we would like to welcome you guys tonight and thank you for taking some time out of your evening to join us for this preschool parent meeting. I know we've had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and a lot of thoughts about what preschool will look like when we return to school. So we felt it was really important that we wanted to take some time to answer your questions, answer your concerns, talk to you briefly about what to expect when you bring your child into preschool at the start of the school year. So my name is Laura Poxon. I'm the coordinator of our early childhood program in our school-age childcare. I'm here with Kathy Luthi, who is our assistant coordinator of our early childhood program. And we're going to touch base on some guidelines and things to expect when you come back. We also have some of our preschool teachers that have joined us on here, and we want to give a big thank you to our preschool teachers because they don't normally work in the summer, but they have continued to work this summer, attending Zoom meetings, searching Pinterest for hours, trying to find different ideas of what we can bring into the classroom to ensure our kids come back into a safe, positive, nurturing environment. So we're grateful for the preschool teachers that we have and the staff that we work with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. One more thing, I'm going to mute everybody as Kathy and I talk. Once we're done talking, we're going to go through the chat to answer any questions that you might have. So if you have a question and we have not answered it, or you need a little more clarification about something that we've talked about, please add it to the chat and we'll go through that at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if it will allow me to. Okay. So we're going to go to present. Okay, so we welcomed you guys to our preschool parent meeting. One thing we wanted to talk about was the programs that we are offering. So we are offering all of the same programs that we have offered in the past, but due to the fact that the state is in a phase 4, there are a few changes to some of our programs. So at ACS, we're continuing to offer the junior kindergarten stepping stones preschool programs 5 days a week with before care and after care. We also have our traditional preschool classrooms that will also meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday and Thursday like they have in the past. Gretch Go is one of our programs that will look a little bit different for our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday classroom. Since Gretch Go traditional preschool is in an elementary school, the district has closed the elementary buildings on Wednesdays for a deep cleaning. So on Wednesday, those Gretch Go families will meet virtually. So they will have a virtual learning day on Wednesdays and meet in person on Mondays and Fridays. The Tuesday, Thursday class at Gretch Go will meet on the same day, same times. Our GSR pre-programs at Scotch and Chico Elementary, there we will look like they'll have school on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with no school on Wednesdays. In the past, they never had school on Fridays. We just changed that day to no school on Wednesdays for our GSRP programs. And then looking at our junior kindergarten and multi-age classroom at Chico. In the past, we were registering for junior kindergarten and stepping stones, but we've had a high group coming in, so we're creating it to be more of a multi-age classroom with Miss Reese. So it'll be 3s and 4s. Miss Reese has been teaching for over 20 years and she does an amazing job with those multi-age classrooms. They will have the option for before care and after care, but Chico, considering that it's in another elementary school, will also be closed on Wednesdays for cleaning. So we're providing care for families that work 5 days a week and need 5 days of preschool, offering them the option to come to ACS if they choose on Wednesdays for preschool. The Chico classroom, they'll have their own classroom, so they will not be mixing in with the kids that are at ACS. They'll be in their own classroom and they'll have the same curriculum, same learning, and same teachers. So if your child is in Mrs. Lila's class, when they come to ACS, they're going to see Mrs. Lila. You're going to see those familiar faces and their friends. It will just be a different location. And then we've added 100% virtual learning plan to our programs that we are offering this year. So if you are a family that's not comfortable yet coming back into school, I've talked with a lot of parents that have older siblings, so they're keeping their older siblings home to do 100% virtual. So they're going to have their preschooler also doing 100% virtual at this time. So we'll talk more about that as we go. Some of the guidelines that we are putting into place due to COVID-19. So we've been talking over the summer and also looking at the roadmap that the governor has issued, roadmap for back to school. We're also looking at licensing. We have something called the LARA. That's the guidelines that are issued to us because we are a licensed child care facility. So looking at both of those recommendations and what we can put into our plate, into our program to ensure that our kids are coming back to school in a safe environment. So we will have a smaller class size. So our class sizes normally run 16 to 18 students per classroom. They will now be 14 students or less in each classroom. So it'll be a smaller class size. Each student will have their own supplies and materials. So normally we do not ask families to bring in any supplies, but this year we're just asking for you to bring in a plastic shoebox from the dollar store. So one of those plastic shoe storage containers from the dollar store, we're asking that you bring that in with your child on the first day of school. Part of their small group activities on that day is going to be to decorate that. We're going to give them stickers. We're going to give them all kinds of fun things that they can put on that plastic shoebox to make it their own. And then the teachers are going to fill it with things like markers, scissors, glue, glue sticks, everything that they would need to be able to explore and to learn in the classroom using their own materials. Then we like those plastic bins because they're easy to store, they stack really nice, but also they're easy to clean. We can wipe them down at the end of the day and put them back up on the shelf. And by the students having their own, preschoolers will feel that pride, they feel that ownership, like this is my box and my supplies at school. So that will be a part of our classroom environment. We also are going to have the students remain in their classrooms. So in the past, we went to the music room for music, or we went to different areas of the building. This year, we're going to have the students remaining in their classroom throughout the day. So Mr. Peter, when he comes in for music class, he will come into the classroom, and we're going to have the students more distance during music, so they're not going to all come together right by his piano like they love to do. We're going to have them maybe separated throughout the classroom for music class. We've talked quite a bit about the gym and going to the gym. At this point, we feel that the weather is beautiful. We're going to take advantage of it while it's nice. We're going to encourage kids to go outside more. If the teachers have a cool large group activity, they might take the students outside in a grassy area to participate in that activity. If weather permits with the gym, there would be cleaning that would be put into place for kids before they went to the gym. And if more than one class went down there, they would only be one class at a time, but then we would clean before the next class came in. We're going to have designated bathroom stalls per class as much as possible. We are working with preschoolers, so we all know that when they have to go, they have to go. So there may be those situations where we need to allow them to go to the bathroom, and we want them to do that. But for the most part, each classroom will have their own designated stall. So at ACS, for example, there's the purple room and the blue room. They have bathrooms in their classroom. But then the girls' bathroom has 3 different stalls. So there will be a stall for the red room, a stall for the orange room, and a stall for the yellow room. When kids are in the hallway, one classroom will be at the bathroom at a time. You won't see more than one classroom out there in the hallways at a time. We're going to try to only have one classroom in the hallways at a time. Teachers have been meeting throughout the summer. They're meeting again on Friday to talk about our classroom layout. How can we open up our classroom more for that social distancing? When we're working with preschool students, it's a part of our curriculum already to teach them personal space. They love to be close to their peers. They love to be close to their teachers. So how can we create a classroom where we can open up a little bit to allow kids to move more freely and not be so close together? And then at this time, we're going to remove any materials that are not easily cleaned. So our dress up, our stuffed animals, the puppets, the things that we can't wipe down at the end of the day or the custodians cannot clean, we will be removing those. Even the sensory table, as much as we love the sensory table, if you ever walk in and look at the kids who are at the sensory table, their heads are all down, they're like an inch away from each other. So we've decided we're just going to remove the sensory table at this time. And then we will have hand washing things put into place. So students, when they come in for the day, before they even go to the classroom, they're going to wash their hands. But again, washing hands is a part of our curriculum. The teachers do it before snack, they do it before they go down for rest, they do it when they come in from the playground. So it's a natural part of a preschool classroom day. So when we're doing this, it's not going to feel unnatural. It's not going to feel not normal. The students are just going to be able to do that. And we attached a link that gives you a great example of a fun science experiment, but a fun way to show preschoolers why it's so important that we're washing our hands. Why is it so important that we're coughing in our elbow? So we will share this PowerPoint through email after sometime tomorrow, and you'll be able to click on that link and watch this cool video. We talked about our teachers. They used to have the kids when they were talking about, we need to sneeze in our elbow or cough in our elbow. If we don't, we spread germs. And a teacher might sneeze and have a water bottle in their hand. So they'll like say, look what happens when I don't cover my sneeze. And they spray the kids with the water, and the kids laugh hysterically because they felt the water, but it's a great way. They need that visual. They need that tactile. We need those different ways of teaching rather than just saying, sneeze in your elbow. So, and our teachers, it's natural for them. They say that all day, every day. Then we're looking at what we can put into place for our preschool students. So again, we're talking about having visuals, having those hands-on tactile things to help with this social distancing piece without saying, don't touch, you're too close, I need you to move. No. We want this to be a positive place. We want these kids to feel the love. We don't want them to come into a place where they feel they can't touch go near somebody. So that social emotional piece is really important to us. So we're looking at different visual placements. So you'll see a picture where you see the tape that's sectioning off the table. Our tables will not go long ways. They're going to go more like they'll make a big square, which will give them more space in between them when they're facing a friend. But they will have the tape down so they know, okay, this is my space, my working space, and this will be my friend's working space. We've ordered these vibrant, colorful circles. This will be something that they can bring with them to large group or during music class. We'll put that somewhere in the classroom where we're distancing ourselves from our peers. So the kids will have them but be apart from each other where they put their circle. Again, it's showing them where their space is and where they need to be. And then we see these cute little paw prints that are actually floor Klingons. So they'll go down on the carpet, and we will have those paw prints as the students will go to line up at the door. So we'll space them apart. So then the students will know when we go to line up, they need to hop on some paw prints. It gives them a visual, gives them a place to stand. But then we also talked about something as simple as raising your arms up. And if you can touch your friend in front of you, you're too close, I need you to take a step back. Or give our friends our space, and we're robots. Being very creative and very fun with these different ideas of how we can keep them distanced. I'm going to let Kathy Luthi talk more now about our car line pickup and drop off.
Thank you, Ms. Paxson. Good evening, everyone. As Laura stated, my name is Kathy Luthi. I'm the assistant coordinator for the program. My office is located down at Chico, so many of you from Chico will get to know me. So I want to say that this year with COVID-19, our protocol for drop-off and pickup is different. But down at Chico, we are pros at car line. So that is one reason why I'm speaking about the car line this year. With COVID-19 and the school protocols, we cannot allow parents into the school right now during phase 4. If you have before and after care, you will be allowed into a certain point to drop off your student. But if you're not in before and after care and you are doing the regular school day, you will need to be part of the car line. So with that being said, At each location, we have a large sidewalk. At ACS, it is the large sidewalk near the Pete the Cat bus that you'll see. You'll see the large sidewalk that we'll utilize. At Chico, there's a large sidewalk by the car line by our preschool sign that we utilize. And then also, if you are located at Scotch Elementary for the GSRP program, the car line is in the back of the school where the bus loop is. So knowing that, car line is a great situation for many, as you don't have to get out of the car. That's our responsibility. That is our responsibility, is to get your child out of the car, whether it's rain, snow, sunshine. That's our job. Your job is just to stay in the car and keep protected, and knowing that we've got it handled. When your child comes out, one teacher will be with the student, walking them in, keeping properly spaced and distance. They'll come inside. And actually, one part of our policy is, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is that they'll wash their hands as they come in as well, because that is part of the school protocol. So knowing that, we'll come out, one teacher will be with your student, getting them out of the car, walking them in. There they will drop off their materials in their locker or in their cubicle, and then wash their hands as they come in. More details are going to follow at our parent orientation, because each school is unique in their situations, whereas ACS has a different set. Just knowing that you will participate in the car line, and before and after care, you'll walk into a certain point. At Chico, we'll utilize the car line morning and afternoon as well. And then if you're before or after care, you're just going to come right in through the preschool entrance, and we'll utilize room 22, which will be right at the corner, to sign in. I know that thinking about car line can be difficult for some parents, thinking my little person, they're getting out of the car, they're upset. Please know our staff are trained to help with children and being upset as they go away and start to leave their caregivers. We're trained for this. We have all our staff come with reputable reputations, the nurturing. It's going to be okay. Please know, if you're afraid that your little one's going to be upset, or first day jitters. First day jitters can last a little bit longer, but please know that we would always get together with you. I know staff use their cell phones. They take pictures to show you, hey, we've calmed down. We're doing well. Look, we've got smiles. So please know we're always going to communicate with you to know that your little one is doing well. So going on about car line and then coming inside. So as they come off of your car, they're going to have a mask. They do have to wear masks when coming out of the car. And for protocol right now, early childhood, it's your preschool, they don't have to wear masks in the classroom. However, they have to wear a mask when they come inside in common areas, such as the hallway. If they're coming in, if they were be sitting in like a cubicle or a common area, most likely they're just going to be in the hallway and in the bathrooms. Bathrooms is a common area as well. So in the classroom, preschool students do not need to wear their masks, but they do have to have them when they go in the hallway and in the bathroom. Now, let's look at this. Your little one is not wearing a mask, and knowing that this is going to be special to them, that this is going to be individual to them. How can we keep that engaging, knowing that this mask belongs to me? So one of our first activities, as you can see with our bright little girl that's smiling right now, is create lanyards, some beaded lanyards for the children to create to hold their own masks on. That way it's special to them. It can be personalized. We can put some names in there as well. But that way they won't lose their mask that's around their neck, and it's secure to them, so we don't lose our mask during the day. One thing I do want to let you know is, although the children do not need to wear masks in the classroom, staff do. So all staff will have to wear a mask, and we do have access to screen shields, but all staff have to wear a mask, and they can wear the screen shield if they like. I do know that we have on order some masks with a clear opening in the back, in the mouth area, so the students can see our mouth and the way we talk, our facial expressions, which is so important when you're working with preschool students, the facial expressions and also sounds, even like we're looking at the b sound, so looking and illustrating what sounds look like so you can see us with our masks. Laura?
We're also sharing this link, so you can click on this link that shows you just the little pointers on how to help your child wear a mask. So if this is going to be a part of our normal at this point, we want our children to know what to expect. We want to be able to communicate with them, to talk with them, so when they come into school, just like when they go into the grocery store, when they go out, that they know why we're wearing the masks and what to expect. So this link will be available for you as well to click on, that gives you like 7 quick tips for parents that you'll be able to access. Okay.
All right. Now, looking at this, with our safety protocols with coming in, all children we have to follow licensing guidelines through Lara. Part of our licensing guidelines is early childhood students will need to have their temperatures checked. So when the children enter for the day, whether they're coming off from the drop-off pickup line or if they're going to before and after care, each child will need to be checked with the temperature and infrared scanner as they're coming off. One teacher will have the scanner to scan your child, and if they have a fever, 100.4, they cannot come in for school. If your child begins to appear ill or not feel right themselves, please know that we are going to call during the day. And if they become ill and start not to feel themselves, we'll have to do a temperature check as well. That is our normal course as is. If your child's not feeling well during the day, we do temperature checks, but we're going to be doing temperature checks at the very beginning before they enter the school. And then if they become ill, we do have to do temperature checks as well. If your child's in before care, you'll walk your child into the designated area. A staff member will do an infrared scanning of the temperature check before your child can come in. Know that we're taking temperatures of the children, but also staff have to do their own temperature checks daily. Ms. Paxton and myself have to do our own temperature checks as we come into the office over the summer right now. So our staff also will have to do them as well before they enter the school and before their assigned times. Now, if your child during the course of the day does have a fever, they will be brought to a designated room where the child will have to wear a mask. It will be an isolated area that the child is being supervised in, but your child will have to be picked up promptly. A child must be fever-free for 72 hours before returning to school. So that's 3 days they have to be fever-free before returning to school. Now, if a child or a staff member tests positive for COVID, we will notify all families. We do keep confidentiality in regards, but we do have to communicate any communicable diseases to families within the rooms. We'll report it and work with the guidance from our health department. The classroom will be closed if a child comes down with COVID-19. The classroom will be closed and families will be asked to quarantine for 14 days, 2 weeks. And during this time, we will provide our virtual learning.
Okay, so one question that we have had is about our billing. And we understand the circumstances and we understand the challenges that families have when all of a sudden we're in-person learning and now we're at home, and how that affects our working parents and how it affects all of our families. So with our billing, if the state goes into phase 1 to 3 and we're not able to have in-person learning, families will have the option to go to the virtual learning and pay an adjusted rate. So you will not be paying the full price that you're paying now, but you'll be paying an adjusted rate. Our goal is for families, or for our families and for our students, for that learning to continue. We want to be able to offer learning for the kids that even if they're not able to come into class, our teachers can provide learning for them virtually. So if you choose to if you do not choose to participate in our virtual learning, then you can drop and be credited for the time that we are closed or that we're going virtual in phase 3. And then you would see that credit on your next bill when we return to school. So now the other question is, I have 2 people in the waiting room, let me let them in. Okay. The other question is, what happens if a child has COVID and now the class is quarantined at home for 2 weeks and we're not able to come into class? We're not able to come into the building. That's when we would also go into that virtual learning. So we would go into that virtual learning, parents would go to paying the adjusted rate. And then if you do not choose to participate in the virtual learning, again, you can drop for those 2 weeks and then you would receive a credit on your next month's bill. So let's say it happens in October and we close, you decided I'm not going to participate in virtual learning, then you would see a credit for your November bill, or that you're paying the next bill that you're paying. If you go into virtual, you'll see a credit on your account for that as well, because those virtual rates are going to be adjusted from your normal rate that you're used to paying. So you would see another adjusted rate on your next bill. Now, before school starts, we are 100% flexible with families with what they would like to do. So if you've already registered your family, the registration fee is non-refundable, but if you've already made a payment or you've already paid for the month of September, we will gladly refund the money and it will be over or it's done. But once school starts and we get into the routine of being in class and we're billing, there's going to be a $25 withdrawal fee if you drop for a quarantine, or if you drop during phase 3, then you would be charged a $25 fee to drop. If you drop, the one part is that we cannot guarantee that there will be a spot when you return. So we just want to acknowledge that and say that. I don't know how many people will be lining up if we're closed in a phase 1 to 3, but we always want to say that. That way parents are aware of everything that could or could not happen. So.
Thank you. I think that's going back to me. Talking about the district and our cleaning protocols this year is, again, looking at the situation that we're in phase 4. Everything is continuing to be fluid and changing as it is. But one thing that we can tell you right now is our protocols for cleaning. Now, with students being in the school classroom, know that at our 4-hour mark with school, all classrooms will be cleaned for their high touch point areas will be cleaned. That's every 4 hours. Custodians will need to come in and clean the classrooms and areas for high touch point cleaning. Now, Wednesdays at the elementary school, so if you're located at Scotch or at Chico, we are closed on Wednesdays to allow for the deep cleaning for the schools. The deep cleaning will be conducted on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So you're getting it midweek and then also on the weekends. The playground also will be cleaned daily. So utilizing the playground, we have several programs throughout the day. They'll have designated areas that they can use on the playground, and knowing that the playgrounds will be cleaned daily, once a day. All right. That's Laura.
So some classroom information. One question that we've had is about lunches. If you have a child at Chico, we no longer will be having hot lunch at Chico. So we are asking families both at ACS and Chico to pack a lunch for their junior kindergarten, stepping stones, or multi-age classrooms. Scotch and Chico will be provided breakfast and lunch for our GSRP classrooms. That's a part of that government-funded programming. So they will still receive a breakfast and lunch in GSRP. And then snacks. This year, normally a parent would bring in a snack for our traditional classrooms. This year, we're going to have where students will pack their own snack. So instead of bringing a large snack for the class to share, we're going to have students bring in their own snack. And then Stepping Stones, junior kindergarten, those full day programs will still be provided a snack. With any food handling, our staff already wear gloves. It's a part of our licensed program. They need to wear gloves when they're handling food. They'll continue to do that. They'll have their masks on. So if they do need to help the students open their lunch boxes or open maybe up their applesauce or yogurt, they will be wearing gloves for that. Nap time is another question that we have for our full day program. So students will have their own cots. Teachers will label that cot with their name on it, and they will be the only child that will sleep on that cot. The cots will be cleaned daily. So when they pick the cots up to put them away, they will be cleaning them. They have a cleaning spray that they can use. They will also have their own bedding. So your child will bring their own bedding in, that will go on their own cot, and then that bedding will be stored in one of those Ziploc extra large bags, zipped and held in the classroom. And then students' cots will be distanced as much as we can in a classroom, but then also when we're setting the kids up, we might have them sleeping feet to head, so their feet are towards another friend's head. They're not head to head with their cots. And each child will have their own locker. So in the past, we have shared lockers. This year, we will not be sharing lockers. Now we're going to talk some about our virtual learning. So we have had a lot of questions about the virtual learning, and one thing that we would like to say is that we are designing our virtual learning from the ground up. So our preschool teachers have been meeting on Zoom meetings to talk about what we feel we need to have in our virtual learning. And we've also been planning with Amy Quinn, who's a coordinator of math and science for our district and is really working with this virtual learning piece, working with Amy on how we can create the most high quality preschool virtual learning program and making sure that this virtual learning meets the high standards that we have set for our preschool program. We don't want to just rush through this. We want to take our time and make sure that we're meeting the needs of each child and the age. So we are currently working on that. So we appreciate your patience, but we will have a 100% virtual option available. And then we also will be using that virtual Wednesdays at Gretschko during phase 4. And then we will be using the virtual learning as needed. So if we go into phase 1 to 3, or if we have COVID and we need to be quarantined for 2 weeks, we can go right into this virtual learning plan. Part of our virtual learning plan is that we are using the Canvas platform that the district is using for kindergarten through 12th grade. So this Canvas is awesome in the way where what we really like about it is one stop. So you can access this on a laptop, you can access it on a Chromebook, it's an app on a phone, and parents will be able to go to one location for all of their children's learning. So if you have a 2nd grader and an 8th grader and a preschooler, you can go on your Canvas app and you will be able to see all of your virtual learning for each student, each child. We are going to plan on having a Canvas training for our preschool parents and families before school starts. So we're not going to just say, here's the Canvas website, go ahead, log in. We're going to walk you through it. We're going to help you download the app on your phone and help you do whatever you need to do to learn how to use this Canvas app. This is new for everybody. So we're all learning together, and our preschool teachers, like I said, they've been taking some time out of their summer to learn this before we start because we felt like it was really important for everybody to have it from the beginning. Another thought is when you go onto Canvas, communication is such a big part of our program, working together as a team. So when you go to Canvas, you can see the information letter that you usually get in an email once a week, telling you what's going on in the classroom. It's a place to share pictures. So teachers would be posting pictures on the Canvas app for parents to look at during the day or in the evenings to see what was going on in the classroom. And also it's a place to communicate. So if you have a question, you can type in a discussion board to ask your teacher a question. Or you can reach out to other parents to say, ask them for advice, or ask them, just talk to them about different things that are going on. The instruction will be individualized and purposeful, where our goal is to meet the goals of each child individually and where they are and where we want them to go next, just like we do in the classroom. So there will be individualized instruction and purposeful instruction working on a goal. So if your child is working on number recognition and they're working on recognizing numbers 1 to 10, you as a parent will know that that's the goal your teacher is working on, and your teacher will be planning those goals or activities to work on that goal for your child. There will be educational options on Canvas. So PBS is one that we like, that we know it's age appropriate, has a lot of fun games on there. There's a link in Canvas for you to get to that website. There's also family resources available. The library sends out an awesome resource where you can find free activities to do in our community that will be available on Canvas. So other resources for families to use other than just the learning piece. And then students will receive a drawstring backpack full of learning materials that they will need for at-home learning. So if you choose to go to that virtual option, 100%, you'll receive this in the beginning. If we go into virtual learning and we know that we're going to be virtual, your child will go home with this little fun drawstring bag. Inside, we'll give them some markers, some scissors, some glue, a whiteboard, some counters, just a variety of different things. So when your child knows it's time to do an activity, they have everything that they need at home. We are in the process of planning the exact details. So our teachers are meeting tomorrow and to really work through what the sample schedule or what a virtual learning day will look like. One thing that we are talking about is having a morning greeting time. So just like when your child comes into the classroom and has morning message, your child would start the day with a morning greeting time with their teacher. Teachers could plan large group and small group activities, maybe an art project for the day or a fun science activity. They will be able to record themselves reading stories, and that will be also in the Canvas app, where you would just click on the link and you'd go right to the read aloud. You can access it over and over again if your child wants to hear it again and again and again. So then we also plan some music and movement and maybe some teacher's choice. Maybe their activity for the day is to go outside and see how many sticks you can find in your backyard. Are they big? Are they small? Are they tall? Are they short? And different activities such as that. The virtual learning cost is to be determined. So we are going to offer it at an adjusted rate. We're not going to charge what we charge for normal care in our schools. We are working on that. Again, we want to take the time and determine what that cost should be. We are providing parents options where they can choose to participate 3 days, 4 days, 5 days a week in that 100% virtual option. And registration will be done over the phone with Colette. So if you would like to register, you would register the same way you register for preschool. You can give Colette a call and she will register you for the virtual piece. We're asking that families register by August 24th. This way, we're in the process of planning who will be the teacher or who will be teaching the virtual learning. And it will be a teacher, one of our West Bloomfield preschool teachers, teacher that has a 4-year degree, that participates in all of our professional development that we pride ourselves in. So that will be the person that will be teaching. We just would like to have an idea of numbers. But with that being said, we're also very flexible. That August 24th is a guideline. It's not necessarily a deadline. So if you choose later on in the week that, you know what, maybe I'm ready to go virtual, I don't know if I'm ready to go in person yet, just give us a call. We'll work it out. If you've already paid a registration fee for preschool, we'll transfer that over to virtual. If we're going to be very flexible in working with parents, because we want parents to be able to do what's best for their family. And then you also may return to in-person learning at any point. So let's say you start out with 100% virtual, and then in January you think, all right, things are back to normal somewhat, it's time to go back into person. You can come back in-person learning. The only thing is that we want to make sure that there's space available. So if a classroom is full, you might need to make a choice of another classroom or a different program with what's available at that time. That is the end of our PowerPoint. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to take a look at the chat to see what questions we may have. I did actually record this video. So this is the first time that we've ever done a recording on a Zoom meeting, but we are recording it and we will share this with you. The school district did say masks were required for pre-K. So if you listen to Deanna talk, she said kindergarten through 8th grade, but then the PowerPoint, the slide said pre-K through. So there was just a mix up in that communication, but we are not requiring our preschool students to wear masks the entire day. They will only be required to wear them during those times where they're dropping off and there's more than one classroom in the hallway. So, and why is our response different? Well, there's a mix of communication, but then looking at the age group. When we're looking at those young 3s and those 4-year-olds wearing a mask all day, that's going to be hard for them. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable and following our licensing guidelines as well. Put the link in the chat. I'm not sure if we can put the link in the chat, but we will email the PowerPoint in the presentation. With the tables being set up facing each other, that's part of our classroom environment with that layout, with what is the best way to go with that. So when we put our 2 tables together, if you put the 2 rectangle tables together, there is quite a bit of distance between one side to the other side. So with that being said, they are distanced to a certain degree. With the masks, that doesn't seem safe with the mask, not required. We are providing parents with options to wear a mask. So if you feel like you would like your child to wear a mask, we're not going to say, no, your child cannot wear a mask when they come into the classroom. If you would like your child to wear a mask, that is okay. We will communicate then also with families to say, how are they doing with the mask all day? Is it challenging? Are they having a hard time? Are they okay with it? Every child will be different with this mask. We expect that. So please communicate with us or with your teacher about how you feel about your child wearing a mask. And then children that are upset or reluctant to get out of the car. Teachers are going to want to be close as your child is getting out of the car. So that's another point of why we're asking students to wear a mask when they're getting out of the car and when they're coming in, because we're not going to be able to stand 6 feet and ask them to jump out of the car. We know that's not going to happen. So we will be wearing our mask. The kids will be wearing our mask during car line and talking to them. Our teachers have amazing plans in place. Ms. Reese was talking today about distractions. Whatever we can do to distract the child when they come into the building helps tremendously. And if they're having a hard time, the teachers will call you at the end of the day, or within 15 minutes of them being in the room. But usually once you've left the parking lot, they're fine. It's just getting into the classroom.
I would agree, Laura, Ms. Boxon. It's the initial transition in that's the hardest. Once they're inside, they are distracted by the other children, what's going on. You'll see that there is a different change within the minutes that occur between that.
Yeah.
All right.
So teachers will be wearing a clear mask. So the district has ordered us masks that have this clear cutout. So they'll have like a little fabric across the nose and on the sides, but then they will be clear. So the students can see their smile. They can see their reaction. They can see their lips as they're talking. We feel it's really important for the students our preschool students to be able to see our face when they come in. So they will be wearing the clear masks. The singing for music class, we've had conversations about this and about them singing. We are talking about when they come into music using those round circles, and instead of being right there in that one little area like we've been in the past, we will all have our own little singing area, our singing stage, where students can go get on your stage, or however we want to create this, where we can use the entire classroom for music class instead of just one small area for singing. And then If a family member of a child gets COVID, will that close the class? That is a good question. And let me look a little more into the details of that, because I want to read exactly what it says for that. So I can look into that, Leanne, and we can get back to you. If you can share your email, or if you have my email address, can you email me that question, and then or I can actually respond to everybody when we send out this PowerPoint with an answer to that.
Mhm.
Each classroom at this point will have a full-time lead teacher and an assistant teacher. So we felt it was more important to make our class size smaller, but keep 2 teachers in there than it was to go extremely small with only 1 teacher. So when we have classrooms that have 14 students, we will have both a lead teacher and an assistant teacher in the classroom.
Okay.
Is there a fee or an option to opt out and get a refund at the current moment remaining in phase 4? So at the current moment, we are not charging any drop fees at this point. So if you are choosing to opt out, you will be able to get a refund and you will not be charged a drop fee at this time. The details for the adjusted rate for virtual learning. So that's something that we have been working on. Ms. Luthi and I, Ms. Collette, Ms. Spano, working with Amy Quinn, determining what is the price that we'll be charging for that virtual learning. Information on virtual learning will be coming out next week. So we're meeting with our teachers again tomorrow, and then we're meeting with Amy Quinn again next week. And then we will be sending out information with all of the details of virtual learning. So it will include the cost, it will include the schedule, it will include everything that you would like to know about that virtual learning will come out next week. Okay, and we appreciate your patience and your understanding as we put this into place. ACS will be deep cleaned on Wednesdays and Saturdays. The difference between ACS and a school like Gretschko or a school like Chico is the number of classrooms. So in ACS, we have 6 classrooms that we're using right now at this point. So the custodian's able to, when the last student leaves at 6 o'clock, 6:30, the custodian's able to come in after and deep clean those classrooms once everybody is gone for the evening on Wednesday nights. And then they will come in again on Saturdays as well. So it's just not going to take them as long to clean. And I see, Kathy, you answered that. Thank you. Yeah, it's just not as large of a building. School district is eliminating lunch and recess at school. Can parents opt to pick up their students before snack and recess time, or must they participate in that time? So again, we're going to be flexible for parents at this time. We're going to tell you that if you want to pick your child up before snack and recess time, that is your choice, and we're going to respect that. The district is eliminating lunch and recess at school, one, due to the amount of time. They have the 2 hours and 40 minutes of in-class instruction, so they want that time to be able to go to instruction, but also the large number of kids. When you go into the cafeteria during lunchtime at Gretschko, there's a large amount of students in the cafeteria versus the 14 or the 14 at the most students that you might see in a preschool classroom. So, but yes, that is 100% up to you. And then same with recess. The elementary schools will not be using the recess time due to the amount of time that are in the building, but with our preschool families, we can use the playground. We feel it's important for them to use that playground. The playground will be cleaned daily, but then we're also going to have each classroom maybe have their own section. So if Miss Goyette's classroom goes out on Monday, she gets the green slides. And on Tuesday, she gets the houses. And on Wednesday, they go to the swings and maybe they participate in some soccer nets and some balls out in the grass on the playground. So we're really being creative in the ways we're thinking about how can we provide these things that we find important, like outside time, but also being able to meet those COVID guidelines and keeping our kids not exposed or to as few kids as possible other than the kids that are in their class. And not cleaning all day, because we could clean all day long if we wanted to. So we want to be able to be creative. Yes, so those students that will be participating in that virtual Wednesday, there will be an adjusted rate for those students. And we do ask that you're patient as we work that out with your billing. So now that we're in virtual, or we know we're going to be virtual, we've talked about the possibility of waiting until we know we're back into phase 5, because once we go back to phase 5, Gretschko and Shika will be able to go back in person. So when the district goes 5 days back in school, Gretschko and Shika will also be opened for Gretschko to come back on virtual Wednesdays back in person, and Shiko, instead of coming to ACS for preschool, they can go back to Shiko for preschool on Wednesdays. So it may be easier for us to wait until the end and do one large adjusted credit or adjusted rate at the end than it would be for us to try to figure out what we're charging at this point, knowing that we don't know how many Wednesdays are going to be virtual. There is the option, if you are a Gretschko family and you're not looking towards the virtual Wednesdays, you would like your child to be in person Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we are going to open up a small classroom at ACS where we have a classroom that maybe there's only 8 kids in that classroom, that if you are interested in looking at that traditional preschool classroom at ACS, please contact Colette or Kathy or I so we can make that change and look at what our numbers are. Gretschko normally has 18 preschool students there, and we are limiting it to 14. So we do have to look at our class list to communicate with parents to see if anybody will be willing to come over to ACS so we can keep that classroom small. Cancel registration. If you cancel registration for 3-year-old traditional preschool, you get a full refund. So the registration fee is non-refundable, but if you've made a payment for traditional preschool, you would get a refund. You would get your full refund if you decide not to send them, if you've made a payment. Is it possible for the early childhood department to communicate with the school district to help the district plan K through 12 cohorts? I am worried that my older child will be put in a PM cohort, even though a sibling is in an AM preschool. The district promised to keep siblings together. That is a great suggestion, and that is something that I will be honest, I don't know if they have considered that, to look at our preschool, traditional preschool kids that come in the AM. I'm more than happy to reach out to Sally Drummond and let her know that we do have a few students that have older siblings in Gretschko. Can we keep our preschool students with their siblings? So please send me an email on the side. That way I have all of the information, and I will reach out to Sally Drummond about that.
That was actually a great question. Never thought of that.
Yeah, I know. It's a good question. I know those principals are really considering all different aspects, and there's a lot of different things to consider. Siblings at Gretschko, siblings at Scotch, who's riding the bus, who's not riding the bus. So there's a lot of things I know that they're looking at to make sure that they can meet the needs of all of our families. It's not as simple as A through L and M through Z, right? It's just not that simple. If the district plans to do all virtual learning, would ACS programs still happen for face-to-face services? If your school district at the last minute decides to offer all virtual learning, would ACS programs still offer face-to-face service? That is a very good question. We are in the process of talking about that. So we are working with our district to determine what will it look like if we go 100% virtual. Will preschool go 100% virtual, or will we be able to still provide preschool in the classrooms? We do not have a final answer for that, but it is something that we are working on. Know that once we have that answer, we will share it with all of our preschool families to let them know what the plan will be. So if we previously registered for 5 days but want to opt out of Wednesday, will we be charged a fee for changing the original option? Not at this point, no. So if you're making schedule changes right now and I'm assuming this is at a Shiko, that this is a family that's at Shiko that's not going to be able to make that drive to ACS. No, you're not going to be charged a fee. The fees will not kick in those will only happen once we're in school, once everybody's in session, and it's a month in and we just don't want to have all these drop ads as we go forward. So at this point, we are not charging a fee as people make changes.
We had a late minute question that just came through, Laura. When will be the next enrollment for preschool for 4-year?
I'm sorry, Kathy, what was that question?
It says, when will be the next enrollment for preschool for 4-year?
The next enrollment for preschool for 4-year-olds. So we're currently enrolling preschool students that are 4. So you can enroll right now for this year. And then if you are looking more at next year for 4-year-olds, enrollment usually starts in February, March, and April would be when we would be enrolling for the following school year. So I have a family that asked to pick their daughter up earlier than 3:45 because they have to pick up at the other school 20 minutes away. So yes, we're going to be flexible with those options. The difference now is we have to think about the parents coming into the building. So we can communicate that with your teacher, and we can talk with your teacher about what that plan might look like, where maybe the teacher meets you at the door or somebody else meets you at the door at 3:35, and that's how we can do pickup. So let's talk about that with the teacher when we get close to school starting, but we can make some kind of arrangement for that. And then again, withdrawing, we've talked about that. Kathy, thank you for putting all of our email addresses in there. So if you guys have any questions or any concerns, please feel free to email us. I'm a talker, so I can talk better than I can type. So I'm always happy to talk on the telephone and, talk things out with you. I know Kathy is as well. Just please let us know. We're happy. I would rather you ask all the questions that you can think of than to wonder. We do not know at this point how many students will be in our virtual learning sessions. So at this point, we're taking enrollment for virtual sessions. I'm thinking parents are going to wait to enroll once they know the cost and once they know more of the details of what virtual learning will look like. So once we have an idea of how many families would like virtual learning, then we will be able to determine how many kids we're going to have in a session. We have talked about doing more individualized, where maybe the teacher has a one-on-one or maybe a Zoom meeting with like 2 or 3 kids that are working on the same goal. That way it would be a little more individualized, a little more geared towards these children independently. We've also talked about doing large group activities. So there's a lot of communication going on right now with our teachers brainstorming and thinking and putting everything together. So that we will not know as on. And then what will the protocols for sending kids to school with symptoms that could be simple colds or COVID, like runny nose and coughs and runny noses? We have lots of runny noses, don't we? Obviously, we're used to seeing a lot of those things. So the key that we're being told with COVID is the fever. Yes. So if you have a cough and you have a runny nose, but you're not running a fever, then we're looking at that as being a cough or a cold. It's when we start to see the fevers that people are going to start to look at more of a COVID symptom rather than a cough or a runny nose. I know with runny noses, kids act fine. Usually they're okay. It doesn't seem to bother them. So also looking at your child and how they're behaving. You know your child better than anybody. If they're not acting themselves, if they're acting off, something more than what they, if they have a cold or a cough. Those would be times I pay more attention to that. There will be a meet and greet. So we've had a lot of conversations about that. And when we look at our parent orientation and what we've done in the past, where we've invited all the traditional preschool classrooms in, or we've invited the junior kindergarten classrooms to come in and the stepping stones together, that obviously we cannot do that. So we talked about possibly doing one class at a time, but then there's so many protocols that we have to put into place before having that meeting in person. So parents would have to take their temperatures, they'd have to fill out a questionnaire, we'd have to sit you 6 feet apart. I don't think we would fit in the large conference room. So we decided that we're going to have our parent orientation on a Zoom meeting like we're doing tonight. And then what we felt was more important was the meet and greet for the students, for the kids. We really want both the parents and the kids to be able to come into the building, come into the classroom, meet their teacher face to face, get an idea of what it's going to look like when they come in for that first day of school. So for the meet and greet, teachers will be getting their class list in August. I know we're already in August. I don't know where the time goes, but in a couple weeks in August, mid-August, they will receive their class list, and they're going to look at how they're going to divide up their kids. So maybe they have, you know, the first 5 or 6 kids come in from 9 to 9:45, and then they have the next group come in from 10 to 10:45. So breaking it up so there's a smaller group of families coming in and allowing one parent and the student, and that's all. So in the past, we've loved to see siblings come in. The whole family comes in, and we have enjoyed that. That's my favorite part, is seeing families come in and getting to know the little siblings just as much as the older siblings that we had so many years ago. But during this time, we need to limit the amount of people that are coming into the buildings. So one parent and child will be able to come in for the meet and greet. They'll meet their teacher. They'll get to see the classroom before they come in for that first day of school. We cannot block a space. So if you have a child that's registered for traditional preschool at this point and you decide to opt out, then next year it will be the same sort of enrollment as it was this year. So you would have to wait until enrollment starts, and then once that enrollment begins, you can register for the following year. There's no way for us to hold spots at this point. And then when does preschool start? Yes, we are looking at junior kindergarten and stepping stones. That will start August 31st. So the district is looking to start on August 26th. We will start junior kindergarten and stepping stones on August 31st. And our traditional preschool will start later. I think we're looking at after Labor Day. The 8th and the 9th would be the first day of school for our traditional preschool. Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Okay, I think we have answered all of our questions. And I know once you guys are done, you'll have more questions, and that's okay. Please ask us, email us, give us a call, and we're happy to answer any other questions that you might have. So thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys coming on. Let us know if there's anything else we can do, and we will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.